was kind of to nudge the South African government to work harder to bring these guys to book, as the US government believes that they're guilty. But I think, the Hawks, because when I interviewed Bheki Cele, the Hawks are really the people who should be investigating this if there is any wrongdoing. And he didn't really seem to want to speak about this. And I believe if there is if an investigation is in a sensitive stage, perhaps you can understand that the police don't want to speak about this. Because I was kind of curious. I thought, well, is he not speaking about it because he knows nothing about it, or is it because it's in a sensitive stage? So
Okay.
I believe that it's in a sensitive stage. So I sort of did a few checks on that. So I think if there is something, it would be really good if the Hawks could come up with charges, come up with a prosecution, and if there's not something, then I think they should drop this. And also it's not good if there are charges or if there are allegations like this hanging around. It could stoke unnecessary suspicion and sort of. I already see that Mr. Humo says that his business has been affected. So that's negative. So the insurgency in Mozambique, as you know, we sent troops as part of the SADC mission. So it's in our interest as South Africa to quell that, or to help quell that insurgency, or to solve the problems, the development problems. But there's been funds for this insurgency, and there's been questions about where these funds come from. Let's say some of the insurgents seem to be very well equipped. So it would be good if they could solve that issue.
Mm-hmm. Just to go back to one or two of the comments that you made regarding the alleged suspects in these ISIS cells, which they supposedly or allegedly operating from South Africa, is Farad Huma has indicated, as you have said, that his business was affected. Just imagine that his life and that the life of his family is absolutely in limbo right now. They can't, for the past few years, been able to move forward in anything in life. And I think, if he is in fact innocent, what a terrible, what a traumatic ordeal to be going through. I'm kind of wondering, as you have also said, that the police minister might not be necessarily commenting at this point in time, because they may have nothing to hand, and maybe using that tactic just to deflect the media. But having said that, he has made quite a loaded statement by saying that the trans-border crimes. Can you hear me, Carien?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. He spoke about trans-border crimes like car hijackings, kidnappings, and drug smuggling are all very big on the agenda. He doesn't talk about human trafficking, which we're not hearing much about here in South Africa, and I think more emphasis needs to be placed on that. But what he does suggest is all of these type of crimes is what is funding these ISIS activities in Mozambique. Do you know any more about this?
Well, it's not the police minister who said that these activities, he spoke about the because I think that it was on the agenda, there was a binational commission between South Africa and Mozambique to cooperate to deal with the crimes that do exist. But it was the US who said, the US Treasury in their statement, they said that, sort of terrorist activities are funded by kidnappings. That's a big one. And we've seen an increase in kidnappings in South Africa, or increased focus on it. I'm not sure, if it's always just been secret or not, or, sort of hidden. But we hear all these stories about kidnappings. And then, drug smuggling. It's there's a lot of activities that do fund terrorism. I think it's a common thing all across the world. Wars are funded by drugs, and so it's not, it's not sort of an unusual, assumption to even make. But the U.S. Treasury was saying that activities are funded by these, and I mean, so you kind of also have to address the crimes if you want to. If there is criminality going on, if there are wars going on, you want to sort of take, what do you call it, dry up the funds of the insurgents so that they don't have money to continue doing what they're doing. It's a non-violent way, and it's a very effective, more effective way than violence to stop them from doing what they're doing. So I mean, it's one of the and the crime the crime issue was one of the issues that was discussed between South Africa and Mozambique. Some of these crimes might be linked to the insurgency. Some of the crimes are, I mean, criminal syndicates have been working these routes for years. So I think it's a mixture of that. But I think when they address the crimes, a lot of the syndicates, in general, syndicates and insurgents, everybody might sort of, we might see a bit of a more peaceful region, because these are the kind of things that threaten the stability of the region, and that people would be looking at and say, well, those are the risks, address that risk.
Okay, so we are, the spotlight is then on the SADC countries to continue their supposed activism against the insurgency in Cabo Delgado and all of these crimes that we're talking about. And we also know that it seems that the South African government is committed to fighting now with this new report and this new story filed by you, to fighting terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, and won't allow our territory to be used to fund terrorism in other countries, in other SADC countries, I should imagine. How active is the South African Defence Force in this regard? Because they are there to protect our borders and to assist in these type of operations in the SADC region.
Yeah, I mean, I think the SA Defence Force, they've been doing some really good work from the reports that I heard as part of the SADC mission. I mean, I think they have some limitations. Their resources are limited. We don't have a lot of money to put them there, equipment. But I think they've been trying their best, and we have been sending special forces guys. They are a little bit more qualified, they've got higher qualifications than just sort of ordinary troops. So, and I mean, you will remember, or you might not, in December we even lost one of our members in Mozambique. I'm always surprised that we pay a lot of attention to wars far away, but when we lose one of our own, it was a kind of a understated affair, I think. So they've been trying their best, and also, I mean, they've been doing it with the Botswana, with some deployment from Botswana, from the Sotho. The Rwandan Defence Force has also gotten involved there. They are more they're like security guards almost for the liquefied natural gas plant that started, or that's opening in Palma, in the Peninsula. So they've been trying their best. I'm not sure how, sometimes they're more effective than others, but also the one thing that I do find quite encouraging is that there is a big focus on development, on getting people skills and education, because this insurgency started as locals who were unhappy. They saw the development, they saw people coming in and working on this development, on the liquefied natural gas plant, but they didn't see the benefits. It's this old story about resources. Africa's resource rich but money poor. Mm-hmm. So it started with that. It didn't necessarily start as an Islamic insurgency. So yeah, so I think if you address development issues, and if you empower the locals, then their incentive for joining any kind of violent activities might be less, and it might just generally be a more peaceful society. So I think it's encouraging, but I think there's a lot of work still to be done. Also in terms of social cohesion. But I see encouraging signs. So fingers crossed.
Carien, is this a developing story? Are you still working on it? Are you still going to keep your eye on it?
Oh, it's something. I keep my eye on it. I've been, sort of keeping my eye on it for a while now. So yeah. I think it's something that the South African media should also keep their eye on. I think we've not been reporting, or we've not been doing justice on the stories about conflict just outside our borders. Of our fellow Africans, and I think we should perhaps pay a lot more attention to this, because it's something that will also affect us in South Africa. I think in South Africa we generally, in terms of religions, we're peaceful society, and I don't think it would serve things well if we do allow conflict, conflict with religious undertones, if I can put it that way, to develop here. So I think it's something that concerns us as well, and also obviously our fellow citizens, or our fellow Africans. There's been a lot of people displaced. I looked last night, 1 million people in Mozambique have been displaced because of the violence.
Sure.
We should care.
And I think that's a huge problem in South Africa, is all the illegal immigrants. I've just been hearing about how many illegal immigrants are in South Africa from north of Africa, and it is actually frightening. And then you question the issue around, obviously, the whole, anti immigrant sentiment amongst the locals, but that's a story for another day. Let me just end off with a comment from a listener and ask you to comment on that comment. Yahya Adams has written in. He says the only thing that the authorities are investigating is to see how they can profit and extort money. Your comments, Carien?
Yeah, well, we have a problem with our law enforcement authorities. We've had a problem with, and I think, this is not just related to these 4 men. It's related to, I think a lot of people have had negative and, positive experiences too with the police, but there's been a lot of negative experiences. And I'm hoping that the actions starting from the presidency down to the department, I'm hoping that we can clean up our law enforcement authorities, get honest people working on it, because I think it's a problem that, it affects the stability in the whole of the country. We've seen it even with xenophobia, where people feel they're taking the law into their own hands to go and check if traders are registered, for instance. That speaks to poor law enforcement or uneven law enforcement. So, and I think, a lot of cases, we've seen cases either dropped or, people asking for bribes to drop the case. That kind of thing. So yeah, I think
it's that situation is absolutely endemic in our country, Carien. But listen, we are going to catch up with you again sometime soon to check what else you are investigating, and we'll talk some more. Lovely talking to you this morning. Go well, and a very good day to you.
Thank you. Great talking to you too.
And that, of course, was Carien Du Plessis. She's a journalist at the Daily Maverick. And thank you to you, Yahya Adams, for your comment on the show this morning. It is 8:49 exactly. News and views right here on Salam Media.